something green, and it's still not too late. Raindrops, star drops, the clouds won't stop. My umbrella hangs by the door. The skies are clear, the darkest of blue. Now I swear I felt this before. There's something there. Are you still there?
There we go. I don't know why I'm like this sometimes. Hi guys. Hello, hello. Jay, Rexy, Nevea, Ronnie, Socks, I see you. Hello. And welcome into the realm, Socks. Socks is saying, I know, yeah. I recognize you because of Vegeta's side. That's how I recognize you. Just look up urban legends, which actually, guess who finally graduated? Hey, congrats, Ronnie. I still have another week. Phoebe. What was I but it's type again? I forgot. Dang it. Why did I forget what I was better type? RJJ think. Nice. Welcome in, RJ. And Rexy, I don't have a shelf. I'm just kidding. By the way, guys, I do have some horror stories. Got any tips for high school? I'm heading into high school this year. Rexy. I tried to warn you, Rexy. Ay, ay, ay. But as for tips for high school, the main tip that I would say is just be prepared for the inevitable. Cause my high school years was mainly during COVID. Like freshman year of my high school, it was COVID. My whole sophomore year was in COVID. So just ultimately be prepared for the inevitable. Whoa. Okay, so I found a lot of good scary stories. I'm heading to senior year, but I graduated with you, Angel. But I repeated sixth grade. Things happen. Oh, okay, which was freshman, sophomore, and senior, and something else. That's not how you socks. Sophomore is that's not how you spell sophomore. Sophomore is sophomore. That's how you spell it. Sup, Caesar? And Matt, I saw that. Captain Matt, I saw that. But the order is freshman first, going into high school is freshman. Sophomore is your second year. Junior is your third year. Senior is your fourth year. Hey guys, ready? What happened to Akari has left the ASMR VA. Yeah, she's going into speed painting, which honestly, I'll gladly support her. I gotta update her commando, cause it still has her So I'm gonna be a freshman. Yep. That is the universal way. I don't know why I said it like that. But I found a list of scary stories. I'm also in the excuse me. I'm also in the middle of urban legends. So far, I have my all-time favorite legend, which is the legend of Sleepy Hollow. That is my number one favorite legend. Can't convince me otherwise. Um, there's another urban legend that I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe Jules could do scary stories for Halloween month, like in October. Doing horror. I read Edgar Allan Poe. I'll do Edgar Allan Poe. I'll do Edgar Allan Poe like in October. Cause there's a lot of urban legends that I have. I love scary stories. So do I, Socks. So do I. I also like scary stories. Maybe I could get the genie to do a scary story. Maybe. La Rona, that one is another one of my favorites. La Rona, that's a story that I kind of know by heart, but at the same time, it's like different throughout each time we heard it. Like I heard a different version. Yeah, yeah, yeah. La Rona, exactly. So, hi, Real Talk. So, for those of you that don't speak Spanish, La Rona is Spanish for the weeping woman. I was born scared. She the lady who drowned her kids. Yep, that's her. That is her. But I like Japanese urban legends. Gives the good creeps. Some of them I know a lot. I know a lot of. Like I know about how do you say her name? How do you say her surname? Hanako-san? I think that's how you say her name. I know about Hanako-san. I know about what is her name? What is her name? Frick, what is her name? What is her name? But I'm gonna go over record them. For Jesus, yay! Thanks again. That's the best birthday. Bye, Josie. See you tomorrow or tomorrow for fast. All right, see you, Caesar. I know the Furukachi Yona. There it is. The Furukachi Yona. I know that one. Um, real talk. Which 8 foot woman are you talking about? Oh, Hanako-san. Yeah, yeah. I said it right the first time. Okay. Um, 8 foot tall women. Oh, I cannot say that. But I'm gonna try my best to. Is it the Hashakusama? I think it's how you say it. Yeah, Rexy said it. Is that it? I haven't actually heard of that one, so I might as well read it. And I am gonna scare myself tonight with these. Oh, I think I passed that. Did I? Hashakusama. Okay. Okay. Did I pass it? I probably didn't. We'll see. Don't look at her. Don't look at her video. She wants to kidnap yet. I mean, that's a lot of that's a lot of urban legends when you think about it. I found I found Inugami. I right away thought of K's because he's in. I right away think of K's when I see Inugami. There's another one I know. It starts with a T. It's like a half demon, half horse. Then in I'll look from like a little more as I go, but we'll go with these though for now. All right. Which urban legend should we start with? Sleepy Hollow. Which one is this again? Tenin, Larona, Furakachi or Hanako-san? You pick, chat. Which one are we doing first? Chef to kill. I'll look that one up later. But that's one for Larona. Anyone else want a Larona? And if anyone is asking, Larona means the weeping woman. Eyeless Jack, Laughing Jack. TikTok. How do you know these urban legends, Rexy? Okay, Larona it is. Give me a second. Boo. I'm back. I really should put my be right back screen. All right. This is Jay. This is story of La Rona, or at least the version I was told. The version I was told. The clan is behind Angel Sneeze. Hey, Rexy. By the way, I just scrolled up, so. Neil, I'm scared to see if I should make sure to look those up. Okay, then we got some scary stories I have here. Okay. La Rona. Here we go. Sorry, I'm trying to think like how I can word this from what I was told. Okay. Okay. I think I know. I think I know how to word it. Okay. In colonial times, I'm gonna pull off that voice. In early colonial times, there was a family that lived in Mexico. Her husband was a conquistador. The family was happy. However, heartbreak soon came. And her husband cheated on her for another woman and abandoned her and their children to starve and die. The wife, filled with rage, out of spite, she drowned her two kids. She drowned her kids in a nearby river to get revenge on her husband. However, once the deed was committed, she regretted it. She instantly regretted killing her children, for she left them to bits and pieces. So, out of grief, out of the grief and anguish about how she lost her children, she killed herself by the same thing, drowning in a river. the same river where she drowned her children. Now, Ladona is often known today still being near the waters of where she and her children died. They say that when a child is in extreme moments such as terror or is crying, Ladona will come to them and calm them down and sing to them. She would sing to the children to put them to sleep. Those children would most likely never wake up. Once they heard Ladona's song. It was almost like it was some kind of trance. This story is told in many things around the world. Others say that the indigenous man got so mad and then abandoned her, which drove her to suicide. Others say that she drowned her kids because they were starving and she didn't know what to do. That's the story of Ladona. Also, a little bit of a fun fact about Ladona. If you're talking about weaving female phantoms, it's closely. Let's go say that was Eve and Lilith in Hebrew mythology. And that's just a story of Tiki Toby. Rexy, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea who that is, so give me a quick summary. Toby? Whoops. That's not how it's spelled. What is that? Tiki Toby, TKI. Is it 2 K's or 2 C's? Because the one I found is 2 C's. Toby is a creepypasta of a child who was mentally ill. He was suffer from what's called Tourette's. He was speaking random murmurs of XXS. Sorry. Protecting the woods. Sheesh. Well, I found the creepypasta of it. Okay. Tiki, ouch, cracked my man. Also, well, was it 2 C's or 2 K's? Because the one I found was 2 C's. I'm gonna assume it's probably two C's. Sheesh, it's a long one. Got autocorrect for two. Okay. Oh. Let me just put something in chat really quick. There we go. There you go. What do you mean unable to pin? Oh. I don't know why I can't pin some. Why is it not letting me pin? But okay, there's the discretion in chat. Also, fun fact: I suffer from Tourette's, except I have facial Tourette's. Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, so the pin does work. There we go. I am safe now, beat that. Well, I don't know why it's not pinning mine, but okay. Alright. Maybe later. Okay. Tiki Toby, which is what I assume it said. Eilish Jack, Laughing Jack. I'm guessing those are also creepypastas, but okay. Okay. The long ride home seemed to go on and on. The road continued to stretch in front of the vehicle endlessly. The light that shone through the branches of the tall green trees danced across the window in random patterns, and every once in a while, obnoxiously shining in your eyes. The surroundings were full of deep green trees, forming a forest around the road. The only sound was the sound of the car's engine as it traveled down the path. It was peaceful and left a serene feeling. Although the ride seemed like a nice one, it lacked every form of nice from its two passengers. The middle-aged woman behind the steering wheel had neat short brown hair that fit her complexion quite well. She wore a green V-neck t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. Diamond stud earrings decorated of each of her ears, which partially showed from behind her haircut. She had deep green eyes, which her shirt brought out the lighting seemed to make them more noticeable. There wasn't anything significant about her appearance. She looked like any other average mother you would see on TV shows, and like however, the one thing that made her different than the average mothers was the dark bags that she had under her eyes. Her facial expression was gloomy and sad. Although she generally looked like someone who smiled a lot, she would sniffle every once in a while, and occasionally glance in the rearview mirror. to look at her son in the back seat, who was hunched over partially with his arms held tight around his chest and his head pressed against the cold window. The boy lacked any normal appearance, and anyone could plainly see there was something wrong with him. His messy brown hair, every which way in the luminescent lighting, brought out his pale, almost gray skin. His eyes were dark, unlike his mother's. He wore a white t-shirt and scrub pants that he had been provided for him by the hospital. The clothes he wore before were so shredded and blood-stained that they weren't wearable anymore. The right side of his face was barred a few cuts along a split eyebrow. His right arm was bandaged all the way to the shoulder, which had been shredded when the right side hit the shattered glass. His injuries appeared to be painful, when in reality, he couldn't feel anything. This was just one of the glories of being him. One of the challenges he had to face while growing up was growing up with a rare disease that caused him to be completely numb towards pain. Never before had he felt himself get hurt. He could have lost an arm and felt nothing. The other major disorder he faced, which was the one that deemed him many insulting nicknames in the short time he attended grade school before he switched to homeschool, was his Tourette's syndrome, which caused him to tick and twitch in ways he couldn't control. He would crack his neck uncontrollably and twitch every once in a while. The kids would tease him and call him Ticky Toby, and they mocked him with exaggerated twitching and laughing. It got so bad he had to turn to homeschooling. It was too hard for him to be in a calming learning environment, with seemingly every kid poking or more like stabbing fun at him. Toby stared blankly at the window, his face completely of any emotion, and every few minutes his shoulder, arm, or foot would twitch. Every bump that had the car tires hit would make his stomach turn. Toby Rogers was the boy's name, and the last time Toby remembered riding in a car was when it crashed. That's all he thought about. Unconsciously, we replayed everything he remembered before he blacked out over and over again. Today, Toby had been the lucky one. His sister had not been so lucky. When the thought of sister came, he couldn't help the tears that welled up in his eyes. The horrible memories replayed in his mind. Her screaming that had been cut off in front of the car was smashed in. It all went blank for a moment before Toby opened his eyes to see his sister's body, her forehead pierced with glass shards, her hips and legs crushed under the force of the steering wheel, and her torso pushed in from the too inflated airbag. That was the last thing he had seen of his dear older sister. The road home continued on for what seemed like forever. It took so long to get home because his mom wanted to avoid the sight of a crash. When the surrounding gave to a familiar neighborhood, they were both more than ready to get out of their car and step back into their own home. It was an older neighborhood with a quaint little houses, all next to each other. Sorry, I thought I was about to sneeze for a second. The car drove in front of a blue house with white window panes. They, they both no, they both quickly noticed the old vehicle that was parked in front of the house and the familiar figure that stood in the driveway. Toby felt automatic anger and frustration to took over him at the sight of his father who wasn't there. His mother pulled the car into the driveway beside him, turning off the engine and preparing to step out and face her husband. "Why is he here?" Toby said quietly as he looked back at his mother who reached to open the car door. "He's your father, Toby. He's here because he wants to see you," his mother responded in a monotone voice, trying to sound less shaky. Yet couldn't turn to the hospital to see Lyra before she died. Toby narrowed his eyes out the window. "He was drunk that night, honey. He couldn't drive." "Yeah, when is he not?" Toby pushed the car door open before his mother and stumbled out onto the driveway, where he met his father's gaze before looking down at his feet with a stern expression. His mother stepped out of the car behind him and met her husband's eyes before walking around the car. His father opened his arms, expecting a hug from his wife, but she walked past him and put her arm around Toby's shoulder and started leading him inside. "Connie?" her husband began in a raspy voice. "What, no welcome home hug, huh?" She ignored her husband's obnoxious words and walked past him with her son under her arm. "Hey, he's 16. He can walk by himself." His father began to follow them in. "He's 17. Connie glared back at him for Alright, sorry about that. My mom came in, spitting the bullshit and be like, do regular 18-year-old stuff instead of being on your computer all day. Be quiet. Ugh. Honestly, just be quiet. I'm getting annoyed right now. And she doesn't enter my room without knocking. She doesn't knock. Just barge right in. Be an annoying ass motherfucker. Okay, where was I? She even made me lose my place. Fuck. Where was I? Oh, found it. I found it. Okay. He's 17. Connie glared back at him before opening the door of the house and stepping inside. Toby, why don't we get you into your room to rest, okay? I'll come get you when dinner's ready. No, I'm 16. I can walk by myself, Toby said sarcastically and glared back at his father before stumbling up the small staircase and turning into his room, where he slammed the door violently. That's something I would do. His room didn't have much in it, just a small bed, a dresser, a window, and his walls had a few pictures of frames of his family, back when they were a family. Before his father became an alcoholic and acted violently toward the rest of his family. Toby remembered when he was arguing with his mom and grabbed her by the hair and shoved her to the floor. And when Lyra had tried to break it up, he pushed her and she hit her back on the corner of the kitchen counter. Toby could never forgive him for what he did to his mother and sister. Never. Toby didn't care how much his father beat him down. He couldn't feel it. Anyway, what he did care about was how he intentionally hurt the only two people he cared about. And when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breaths, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad. Toby stood by the window and looked out at the street. He could have sworn he saw something out of the corner of his eye, but quickly blamed it on the meds he was on. When dinner time came and his mother called up to him, Toby came downstairs and hesitantly sat at the table across from his father, and in between his mother in an empty chair. It was quiet as his parents picked at their food, but Toby refused to eat. Instead, he just watched his dad with a blank stare. His mother caught on to his stare and elbowed him slightly. Toby looked over at her slyly, and then down at his uneaten food, which he still didn't touch. Toby laid in bed. He pulled his covers over his head and stared at the window. He was tired, but there was no way he would fall asleep. He couldn't. There was too much to think about. He had been debating on whether or not to follow his mother's direction and forgive his father, or continue holding a grudge with this boiling hatred. He heard his door creak open, and his mother patted into the room. It sat on the bed next to him. She reached over and rubbed his back, which had been turned to her. I know it's hard, Toby. Trust me, I understand. But I promise you, it will get better, she said softly. When is he going to leave? Toby said with an innocent tone in his shaky voice. Connie let her gaze fall down to her feet. I don't know, honey. He's staying as far as I know, she replied. Toby didn't respond. He just continued to look forward at the wall, holding his damaged arm near his chest. After a few minutes of silence, his mother sighed before she leaned in to kiss his cheek and stood up to walk out of the room. Good night, she said as she closed the door. The hours passed slowly, and Toby couldn't quit tossing and turning. Every time he let his imagination take over, he heard the screeching of tires, the screaming of his sister, and he would uncontrollably jerk in bed. He threw off his covers and lying on his back, he pulled his pillow over his face and cried into it. He could hear his own pity weeping. He would have been screaming and crying if he didn't press his face again press his pillow over his face. A few seconds later, he threw the pillow off his face and sat up, hunched over, holding his head and breathing roughly, tears streaming from his eyes. He couldn't help but cry. He tried to keep it in, but he couldn't stop the whining and whimpering as he sat there shaking. He inhaled before he stood up and walked around his bed to the window and peered out, taking deep breaths, trying to calm down. He rubbed his eyes and looked out at the group of tall pine trees across the street. He stopped suddenly, and his gaze slowly centered on something standing under the light. He heard ringing in his ears and couldn't look away. The figure stood beside the streetlight, about 2 feet shorter than it did, long arms draped up its side as it stared up at him with non-existent eyes. The figure had no facial features to speak of, no eyes, no mouth, no nose. Yet it held Toby's hypnotized stare, seemingly peered into his very being. The ringing in his ears grew louder and louder each second he stared before it suddenly went all black. The next morning, Toby woke up in his bed. He felt different. He wasn't tired at all. And when he consciously woke up, it felt like he had been lying there awake for hours. Yeah, no thoughts flowing through his mind. He sat up slowly and stumbled to the wall before he automatically felt dizzy. He stumbled down the stairwell and walked down the stairs. His parents were sitting at the table, His father was tuned into the small TV that sat at the countertop, and his mother was reading the newspaper. She quickly looked over where she felt Toby's presence looming behind her. "Well, good morning, sleepyhead. You've been sleeping forever." She greeted him with a hesitant smile. Toby slowly looked at the clock. He noticed it was 12:30 p.m. "I made you breakfast, but it got cold. I was gonna wake you, but I felt you needed sleep." Her expression fell from happy to worried as her son resisted responding to her. "Are you alright?" Toby stumbled over and sat by his father. He felt as if he was ideal and had no control over his actions. He was seeing everything he did, but I didn't register in his brain properly. He reached out to his father's arm, but his hand ended up getting slapped. His father turned to him abruptly and pushed his chair over with his feet. "Don't touch me, boy," he yelled. His mother stood up. "All right. Know that off. Or know that off? Why just like that? Knock it off." I think it's knock that off. This is the last thing that we need. The days went by, and things continued on as they were. Connie spent most of her time cleaning the house, and her rude husband spent most of his time ordering her around. It was just like how it used to be before the crash. Toby never really left his room. He would sit by his bed, tremble. His mind would wander, but his thoughts changed too fast to be remembered. He would pace around his small room like a caged animal, or stare out the window. The unhealthy cycle continued. Connie continued to be pushed around by her husband, being way too submissive to him. And Toby remained in his room. Before he could think twice, he would begin to chew on his hands, tearing the flesh from his fingers. He would gnaw his hands until they bled. When his mother walked in on him while he was doing so, she reacted horribly. She rushed downstairs and grabbed the first aid kit, wrapping his hands in bandages. Afterward, she demanded that he would never leave her side again. Toby isolated himself so much that he grew up to hate being around others. His memory grew glitchy as well. He'd start missing memory of minutes, hours, days, and so on. He would begin talking nonsense about things completely unrelated to the conversation he would have. He'd go off about seeing things, sharks in the sink as he washed the dishes, hearing crickets in his pillows, and seeing ghosts outside his bedroom window. His mother grew anxious about his mental health, that she decided it would be good for him to talk to a professional about what he was feeling. Connie walked Toby into the building, holding his hand and guiding him in. She walked him up to the front desk and began talking to the lady who sat behind it. Oh, that was me, sorry. Mrs. Rogers? Excuse me. Sorry. Mrs. Rogers? The lady asked. Thank you, Rexy. Yes, that's me. Connie nodded. We're here to see Dr. Oliver. I'm here with Toby Rogers. Yes, right this way. The lady stood up and let them down a long hallway. Toby looked at the framed artwork down the halls, and tuned in to the sound of the lady's high heels on the hardwood floor. She opened the door to a room with a table and 2 chairs. If we can get him to sit here for a few minutes, I'll get the doctor. She smiled and held the door open. Toby stumbled into the room and sat down at the table. He looked over at his mother and the lady with the door slowly shut behind them. He looked around the room before he held up his tightly bandaged hands and began to bite at the bandages to unwrap his hands. But he was interrupted as the door swung open and a young woman in a black and spotted dress with light blonde hair steps in, holding a clipboard and a pen. Toby? She asked with a smile. Toby looked up at her and nodded. Nice to meet you, Toby. My name is Dr. Oliver. She put her hand out for him to shake by hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hands. Oh, she smiled nervously before clearing her throat and sitting in the chair across the table from him. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Try to answer them honestly as possible, okay? She placed her clipboard down at the table. Toby nodded slowly and held his restrained hands in his lap. How old are you, Toby? 17. He responded quietly. She wrote that down on the paper that was clipped to the clipboard. What's your full name? Toby Aaron Rogers. When's your birthday? April 28th. Who is your immediate family? Toby paused for a minute before answering her question. My mom, my dad, and he stopped. My sister. I heard about what happened to your sister, dear. I'm really sorry. Her expression faded into a sad, pity-filled look. Toby nodded. Do you remember anything from the crash? Toby looked away from her. His mind went blank for a moment. He looked down on his lap and in the surrounding area. He heard a faint ringing in his ears. His eyes widened and froze in place. Toby? The counselor asked. Toby, are you listening? Toby felt a shiver go down his spine until he froze once again and slowly looked over out the window through the door, where he saw it. A darkless, featureless figure peering at him. He stared, eyes widened. The ringing grew louder and louder, when suddenly the loud noise of the counselor broke his trance. Toby! She yelled. Toby jumped and fell sideways off his chair and backed up into the corner. Alright, it's almost 9:30, so I'll stop it there. Definitely picked an interesting one, Rexy. I know, I wish I could go on for longer, but I said 9:30. Plus, my mom pissing me off. So, let's find someone that we can raid out to. Let's see, we have, Fox. Actually, let's raid Nai. Nai is a friend of mine from, hold on, Nai. Noni, I think that's how you say it. Okay, we're raiding on over to Nai. And it's another one I can't see. So, there's your raid message. Big. Did I even type that right? I don't even know if I typed that right. Hold on. Did I? Somebody check if the raid is right. It should be Nai. Noni. Someone check if that's the raid. Because I can't see it well on my end. Okay, and Nai is, again, Nai's a friend of mine, so so this should be good. Also, Nai is for mature audiences, just so you guys know. Close enough, Jay. Close enough, Jay. Alright, see you guys.